Welcome back to another episode of Live with Sequoyah Fund. I'm Russ Siegel, your host. I'm the executive director of Sequoyah Fund. And while the rest of the Sequoyah Fund staff is back at the office making loans and keeping the bills paid and doing all the boring work, I get to have a lot of fun talking to some really cool and very exciting guests, like today's guest, Nicole Lee. Nicole, how are you doing?
Hello, Russ. I am wonderful and definitely glad to be here. Thank you.
Well, we're glad to have you. Welcome to the show and welcome to North Carolina. You're a recent transplant to North Carolina. And I'd like to catch everybody up on that journey because it's a really interesting story. I think you're a pretty brave woman. This is just an amazing story. And tell us about that. Tell us about your journey to good old Western North Carolina.
Well, let's see. So the actual thought of coming to Asheville started as a stylist. My customer had told me about Asheville years ago, probably about 15 years ago. And she always said, you would do well there because of your energy and you know, your spirit, and you would fit well within that atmosphere. And so I thought about it, you know, and it was actually during COVID quarantine. My family and we had plenty of time to just think about, you know, what we wanted in life, you know, what the next was, because we didn't have anything to lose. And so we started talking and thinking about what to do next. And I mentioned Asheville, North Carolina to my family. So my family consists of my mother and my 3 children. I'm a single mother, and my children are 19, 21, and 26. Now, remind you, my children were in college. My son just graduated from Xavier University with a sports marketing degree. So, you know, everyone was in position to move to the next, and, you know, COVID hit. So this gave my family and I some time to think about what we wanted, you know, let's live, let's do something new and different. And so actually it was the movement started with the thought of my mom saying, you know, let's sell the house. And I was like, okay, cool. Where we going? You know? So, you know, I entertained looking into independent living, assisted living for my mom. And I was like, my mom don't need to live by herself. You know what I'm saying? You know, we're in the midst of COVID. We were very careful about, you know, staying away from other family members. So I thought my mom would be all alone. And during this time, you need touch, you know, and the power of touch is healing. And I said, Mom, let's go see what Asheville has in store for us. So we drove down here. It only takes about 5.5 hours from Cincinnati. And I'm telling you, coming into Asheville, the mountains alone, my entire family was in awe. You know, it was like you melted, you know what I'm saying? And it was like the mountains was speaking to you. And it was just an amazing experience just coming into Asheville. And so we were here for a couple of days, stayed at the Biltmore, had a wonderful experience there. And we found a home. We had an appointment to take a look at it. And, you know, on the road back home, everybody was like, yeah, let's do it. And so we got home, started packing, giving stuff away, you know, got a dumpster, start throwing stuff away, and put the house up for sale. And within 2 weeks, the house, we had a buyer. And so everything went fast. And
that's
so
amazing.
Here we are.
Wow. Yeah. So I just want to point out, because people who've watched this show know that this is a lot of times we just talk about entrepreneurship. We talk about the guts that it takes to be a small business owner. And what you've done is a pretty entrepreneurial move. You saw an opportunity and you jumped on it. And you've seen other opportunities. You used to be a stylist, you said, or still are. And you're not a stylist anymore, but you have a lot of other things keeping you busy these days.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So,
too much, but you know, it's part of the journey.
Yeah. So besides just being able to look out those magnificent windows at the amazing view that you have there, you also are a businesswoman. You have a few businesses, and I want to talk to you about those and how you run those 3 businesses, how you keep all the balls in the air, or all the, you know, plates spinning, whatever metaphor you want to use. And what you do in those businesses and how you can help other people. And so the first one that I want us to talk about is Counsel to the Entrepreneur LLC. Tell us a little bit about that, how you came to do that and what you do with that business.
Okay, yes. So as a salon owner for over 20 years, after I sold my business, I started writing. And I didn't have, background in writing, but I said, I want to write. I did some writing as a teenager, and that was a place where I was able to pour all my, emotions and things of that nature. But I thought that would be a good way for me to give back to the beauty industry with some insight about success in the hair and beauty industry, because I did very well. And so I wrote a book about what I knew. And I knew a lot about the hair and beauty industry as a salon owner, as a cosmetologist, as well as an instructor. And so, Healing Cosmetologist, that's my first book. I wrote the book, did some marketing, and as I was doing some marketing for Healing Cosmetologist, I realized that I had wrote another book just off of some blogging. And so I recognized that I had a natural ability to write, outside of hiring an amazing editor, of course, and a graphic designer. I started writing. So right now I have 9 books published. And it's just been an amazing journey because I never thought I would be a self-published author. So during that time, I had an idea to market my books. And so the idea was with the purchase of a book, you have a 1-hour free consultation to talk about the book or anything that's going on in your life, And so from that, I discovered this skill set of consulting people in regards to their personal as well as their entrepreneurial journey. As a stylist, that's what we do. We're therapists. And so in the skill set that I acquired was listening. And I found a niche by listening and hearing what people are saying and being able to hear what they don't hear and being able to repeat it back to them. I found a niche. And I recognized an opportunity. And so that's how Counsel to the Entrepreneur ignited. It started originally with the beauty professionals, and it kind of channeled into entrepreneurs. And so it happened.
Wow. So it is amazing how people don't really hear themselves sometimes. Yeah, they don't hear those excuses. They don't hear the fear.
Exactly.
And we're going to talk about your views on fear, because I think we've got some slides that we're going to show some folks here in a little bit. But isn't it amazing how many people just need to be heard?
That's it.
They just need somebody to listen to them because they think they're in this boat all by themselves. Being an entrepreneur is tough, right?
It's a different mindset. You got to have some tough skin for it.
And so what types of businesses, now that you've kind of morphed out of just the realm of stylists,
right?
What types of businesses do you work with, and what are some of the common issues that you find in those businesses?
I had a wide range of clients. There was someone that had their own jewelry making company. There was someone who had their own a women's group to inspire and empower women. I had clients that was actually in the Bitcoin business. So it was a wide range, but there was a common link between all of those widespread businesses. It was fear. And a lot of times you get in a place of doubt, and if you're not making the money or the clients aren't coming to you as fast as you would like, then what happens in your subconscious mind, you start to think about, well, maybe I shouldn't do this. All those negative thoughts that come, which is real and it happens. But the idea is you need somebody to get you out of that funk, And so that's what I realized that I had a gift at. I have an ability to empower people in the midst of their funk. I have to help people with negative thinking. And these are just some practices that I've acquired over my lifetime, just being a single mother. I had to get through a lot of stuff and I got over it. And I have some tools that'll help others. And so I incorporate that into my business.
Yeah, I love the sound of that, because I think we all have tools that other people can benefit from. But there comes a point where when you are a good listener, like you say, and when you can bring that experience to bear on their lives, then you become, and I love the word counsel. You use the word counsel. It's more than just an advisor. It's more than a consultant. It's more than a coach. It's that trusted counselor.
Exactly.
That person that And trust is not something that comes on a business card.
Right.
I think you've done some amazing work. You said 9 books, and when you have what it takes to sit down and write a book, I mean a book.
Yes.
You know, most people have a book in them. Most people don't write that book. And you've done it 9 times now.
Yeah.
And I think that is a huge calling card for you. That says that you not only have something to offer the world, but you were able to sit down and with patience and with thought, really put it on paper. And there's an art to that.
It is.
I know that we weren't really going to talk about the crafting of those books, but tell us a little bit about your process and how you write, because I'm sure there's somebody out there thinking, wow, I've been trying for years to write one book and she's done it 9 times. How did she do that?
Yes. And actually that's what happened. People started asking me, how did you do that? And so I said, well, I'll just write a book about it. So I have a book called How to Write and Publish Your Own Book. And I give the tools and pretty much the journey that I took, and I put it to print. And it's not an easy task. It's very tedious, but it's all about time, self-discipline, and turning the TV off.
Amen. Amen.
You have to turn the TV off, because that's a lot of time that people don't realize that your most and greatest time that you have is when you're doing something that has nothing to do with your future nor the goals in life, as well as social media. I'm like, turn it off.
Yeah. I mean, listen, getting out of it
to an extent, I get it, but you got to balance time, and that's what happened. I have this thing called time, and I recognize it, and I utilize it for my benefit.
So I was teaching a time management course yesterday to a small group of managers, and we were talking about how time, not time management, but time control, how to control your time, and how to control access to your time so that other people don't always encroach on you. We talked about how that had a greater bearing on your success as a manager than almost anything. Is that you got to make time for yourself. And I pointed out to them that time is the one commodity that we all share exactly the same amount of. And it's amazing the number of people we talk to who say, I just don't have time for that. And then you find out they go home, they turn on Wheel of Fortune, and they go straight from there to the 11 o'clock news. And they think, well, where did my evening go?
Nowhere.
Right. So you got it.
I get it.
Yeah.
It's all about balance, though.
Listen, I'm a junkie too. I'm a junkie. I love my TV. But what you said about social media, I think bears repeating. This year I have been very intentional, especially in an election year with COVID and everything. I just decided to get out of the toxic pool.
It is toxic.
And so you got to be there for business, right? You've got to be there to put content in front of your customers, in front of your prospects, people who want to hear and need to hear what you have to say. I get that. But when you look up from your phone and it's 3 hours later, how many pages could you write in 3 hours?
Well, you can write 3 chapters.
Exactly.
You can get some ideas of designing your cover. You can write some ideas about an intro. Think about who can write your foreword. I mean, and I'm not saying it just because I'm like, this is easy to do. No, it's just when you make up in your mind what you have a desire, you have to stick to it. I have a goals list that it changes periodically. And again, it's all about self-discipline. But I've had different trainings that I reached out to even get to that place of self-discipline. I've done some home studies actually for Napoleon Hill philosophies, which have been very helpful. And actually, I'm getting my certificate in teaching his philosophies as well. So I do a lot of reading. I do a lot of self-help. I'm always want to be better, within my entire being, because, I have 3 people that's looking at me and they're watching me. And in this world that we live in, we need positive role models. So I thought, well, why not it be me? And so my children is who keep me up on my toes and keep me grounded, because they're watching. And I want them to be great because they are pieces of who I am.
I love that. I love that philosophy. For those who don't know, Napoleon Hill is our Think and Grow Rich author, right? And I think when you look at the list of books that successful people attribute to helping them more than anything else, it's usually Think and Grow Rich. It's How to Win Friends and Influence. It's not new books. It's not the old built to last or built to flip or any of these. It's those books that just have a timeless message in there about how to get along with other people.
It's very true. It's very true. And I practice it, and it's ongoing,
Yeah. It takes practice.
It does. It does. I didn't get here, just automatically. This was years and years of self-development, years of reading and applying what I've read. And acting it. They talk about applied faith. People talk all day about what I want to do, but if you don't apply the action to what you want to do, you're just dreaming. And dreaming don't pay the bills.
True. I've tried it. It doesn't.
It's beautiful, but you gotta eat.
Gotta eat.
You got a family to take care of. These are the things you do to put it to action so that it'll manifest. And monetize off of it,
Right. Good point. Yeah. Excellent. I think that's, if I had some billboards, I would start, I'm taking notes here of all the things I'm going to put on these billboards out there.
Hey, I want 10%. No.
Well, I want to talk about family for a second, because I know that you have another business that indicates how important family is to you. Yes. And that business is Warrior Moms.
Yes.
Talk to us about that. Eventually, we're going to talk about how all these businesses fit together in your life, right? And how you keep all those balls in the air. But talk to us about Warrior Moms.
So Warrior Moms was an opportunity that I hadn't even thought about. And what I found is when I sold my business, I recognized that I had this available time to receive opportunities. That was another thing. So as I'm writing my books, I'm promoting them, I'm doing some consulting work. I started doing some volunteer work, actually, as a Vista for, what's it called? I forget the name, I'm sorry. But I was a Vista for, I can't think of the name. But while I was doing some volunteer work, because my idea was to pour back into the community, because I just know I have a vast amount of knowledge and expertise that I could share with people who are struggling. And so there was a grant opportunity through People's Liberty. And I went to the actual meetings, applied, and I got the grant. And the grant was to empower single mothers who live in poverty. And so from that, Warrior Moms was birthed. And during that journey, I awarded 3 single mothers in 3 poverty-stricken neighborhoods. It was an actual contest. I did it on social media, and the contest was a makeover photo shoot. It was all about uplifting and making them feel good and letting them know that they matter. So during the promotion, I did some street marketing as well. I connected with the community, had yard signs up. It was just an amazing experience. It was a lot of work, but again, I had this thing called time. And so celebrated the mothers, developed a team, a makeover team. Because I'm in the hair and beauty industry, I had a lot of connects. So I had stylists, makeup artists, designers, people to make their own clothes and jewelry. And so I developed this team. And it's amazing how I was able to structure this entire journey because of time again, right? People's Liberty had amazing advisors, so I had a lot of support to help me through the journey. From that, I realized when the mothers were applying for the contest, they started telling me everything that they were dealing with. And I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't ask you that, but I recognized that a platform needed to be created because single mothers are not heard. They're judged for the reason of being single mothers. And I found out single mothers are single for many different reasons. And although they're single and their circumstances, there are still children at stake. And our children are our future. So I don't care what the circumstances, everybody needs some support and help just so that we can uplift our future, right? And so I developed a workshop to help single mothers, did some yoga, did financial assistance. We did how to do a makeover yourself at a inexpensive cost, and also did some creative games that you could do with your children and things like that. So that was outside of the workshop. I still did the makeover photo shoots. So the media came out, and during that journey, I decided to hire a videographer to follow the journey. And so there was a documentary that was created as well, and it was actually filmed and screened at a film festival in Cincinnati. So it just kept evolving, and I was like, "Oh my goodness!" So at that time, I realized I had something, and so I created this nonprofit social enterprise called Warrior Moms, and it just kept evolving from. I think the last event I did was during COVID, a week before Mother's Day. I got a grant through Children's Hospital, and I created these warrior survival kits. And it was a combination of emotional remedy calendars. So each month, based off the emotion you're having, I have a remedy for it. So that was created. I put lavender candles in there to help with the stress. I ordered some yogi tea, the stress-free stress relief tea. It really works. And so, tools that would help them deal with what they were dealing with. I mean, we were dealing with COVID, they're single with children. They were dealing with homeschooling children. And that was one thing. I've homeschooled my children as well. So I can tap into all types of adversities to share on how to deal, And so that was an amazing experience. So that's how Warrior Mom, and it keeps going. So I'm just, it moves without me at times. Opportunities come, and I'm like, oh, I can offer this, and so it just keeps evolving. It's an amazing organization.
So how transformative is that for those women to go through that process? Not just the physical transformation that you're doing, but also, again, that deep listening that you do, and hearing them and being able to address some of those issues that you share in common. How transformative is that?
Oh, it was empowering because they recognized they were talking to someone that first understands, because they recognize and they've gone through the same thing. And then two, I'm not judgmental. I hear, and some of the things they share are terrible, but it doesn't matter. The point is, I'm listening, I hear you, and I'm sharing and I'm sharing tools that can help them get out of that funk. Because I mean, emotional paralysis is real. Outside of just a single mother, everyone is experiencing pieces of it now that we all are experiencing COVID. And to be able to share with someone that they're not alone, that I'm not judging them based off their choices or situations, and that I also have a tool for you to use to empower you. And it was just amazing. And with that, I started a monthly, it was called Warrior Survival Kit Sessions. And this is where I would connect with single mothers on a monthly basis, and we would just vent. One would take a turn, just vent. And it was empowering because the other single mothers started to give them tools. So all I had to do was present the platform and sit back, because I recognize when people are struggling through the same thing, they have tools that can assist each other. And after the call, you're at peace at that moment in time, and that's what was transforming, is that they recognize they started helping others. And when you help others, that's where you get your healing from.
So you basically just became a facilitator to let that peer-to-peer learning take place. And that's
exactly,
that's where it's really powerful. Is where you don't have to be the guru.
No.
Who takes the healing and the knowledge and everything to the group. It's whether they can get it from each other.
And that's what happened. And like I said, it just evolved. One thing is because I was listening. I'm very in tune to my spirit. I recognize my life purpose here on this earth. And I recognize, the power of the divine. And I just get a lot of insight about what to do, when to do, how to do. And I listen. I listen and I'm obedient to what I'm supposed to be doing. And it seems to happen effortlessly just because I just did what I was supposed to do. I know how to step out of my own way, because for one, if you want to do everything and be in control of everything, it's draining, and I'm a single mother, so I don't have the energy. Even if I wanted to take over, I don't have it.
Well, I think I think this is a good segue into some things that you wanted to show folks, and we've got some slides that we want to put up, but it's really important that people hear what you're saying, Nicole, that the fear sometimes, and you've used the word funk a few times, and we've seen that with COVID. We've seen that, as an outsider to someone's business, I can look at that and say, well, why are they not doing that? Why do they not see that? But when you've got those blinders on and you're under that stress, and that overpowering, overwhelming funk, and I love that word because that's exactly what it feels like, and it buries you. And so it's really easy for us on the outside to say, well, we can help you with that. All you have to do is this, and people say, what? I never even considered that as a possibility. I didn't even think about that. And it's not that we have all the answers. We're just looking at it from a different angle.
Exactly.
But again, fear plays a huge role in that. What if I'm already on the brink? This 2020 was going to be my best year yet.
Right.
COVID got in the way. Now I might go out of business. What if I try this and it doesn't work? And time again in this conversation, you've mentioned things where you've said, I've just been listening. I've been watching for that opportunity. I've been trying to observe, and I stepped into it. It was there, and it's like you're coming at things from a place of fearlessness.
Absolutely.
So why don't we take a look at some of the things that you had to share? Now I'm gonna jump over here and share some screen, and we'll see what happens here.
Okay.
All right. So, author, entrepreneur, visionary.
Yes.
That's something we've not really talked about, because you've talked about being able to see what's coming at you and what the opportunities are. But talk to us just a second before we go to your first slide. Talk to us about the visionary part. What does it take to be visionary?
Again, it's a gift, right? So you have to realize, when I was like 10, I had this ability to just sit down and talk to people. And it was amazing how my mother used to watch me, because I used to have people from my church that would visit our home, and we would sit at the dinner table and they would talk and I would counsel them. So this whole journey has been in me since I've been young. And I didn't know what it was, of course, and then I started, doing hair. And so that was another component to where I was able to build up my skill set of listening. And so visionary, God gives me these gifts. I get vision through dreams. I've been able to tap into that whole realm, learn about how to interpret my dreams. And so I recognize that I'm a trailblazer and that I create. And then I create platforms, but then I train another leader to take over. And, some people have a hard time with letting go of something that they created. But see, I recognize that it's not just for me. Some people need that extra help to get to that level. And that's where my expertise is in. I know how to vision the idea, create it, and then hand it over. Because I have so many ideas that come across my mind. So I can't do it all. You know what I'm saying? And so when I see opportunity and see someone that is seeking, I create it and develop it and connect with an organization or an individual that has been dreaming about it, and I hand it over.
So people sometimes don't realize that fear can work in two different ways. One is it can cause you to miss the opportunities you should be taking.
It does.
But I want to go back to what you just said about you've got to develop people. You've got to be willing to see that other people can step into these things, and fear can cause us to choke our business to death.
True.
If we're not willing to develop people if we're not willing to let other people do what they do well and
Right.
focus on what we do best, right?
Exactly.
So let's talk a little bit about fear. I'll do the driving. You tell me when you want to go to the next slide, and we'll do this. So
how to eradicate fear, a guide for entrepreneurs. So this was a book that had been written. It's my newest book. And what happened, I recognize that all the things that I have, the journey and me as an entrepreneur, listening to my clients as well, I recognize that I needed to create, offset of my consulting is a course, a training course. And so that's how this book was developed, with the thought of creating a training. And so I gather all the content that I had created over the years within my other books, my expertise, my trainings with Napoleon Hill philosophies, and it just came into and created this course that I offer. And what it is again, I'm a holistic sounding board for entrepreneurs, CEOs, beauty professionals, and single mothers who are seeking ways to eradicate poverty. With this course, I offer a copy of my published workbook, How to Eradicate Fear, a guide for entrepreneurs. And you'll also receive an interactive Zoom video PowerPoint presentation. With this presentation, after the presentation, the Q&As, you'll receive a 1-hour counsel session. And then once you go through the course, you'll have access to the Warrior Mastermind Group, which is a monthly collective conscious peer-to-peer group. The outcome would be a visual solution and tools to assist with our current times as an entrepreneur. The outcome would be you will be awakened and enlightened the entrepreneurial spirit from within. Eradicate negative thinking. I offer tools to help you with that. And create a framework of prioritizing and simplicity. And so all of these outcomes have come from the testimonies of my customers. You know, sometimes I do things and I don't know what I'm doing and why. And what happens is I get a feedback and I realize, oh, that's a business that I can do. And that's been my whole journey. Again, that's the visionary component that I have. I know how to create things, and then it turns into the master plan of it all.
So when you say you got testimonials from clients, is can we look at some of those?
Yes, please do.
So it says, yeah, I mean, these are pretty powerful. And by the way, folks, if you're not getting testimonials from your clients, ask.
Yes.
Ask.
They would love to. And that's what I did. I asked because I needed to know what I was doing, you know, because I don't know, you know what I'm saying? I recognize that I have a history of success and things of that nature. But when you hear from somebody and their experience with you, it helps actually tune in and help critique your gift and your expertise and knowledge. And that's what my customers have done for me. They help me map out what I need to offer to others. And so let's see, we have several. Well, I gave 3 options. So I'll give one that was dear to me. I had a customer I met during an organization connection, and we became friends. And so she was going through a period. So I just like to share, and I was able to assist. She said, when I came to Nicole, I explained to her my deepest desires for the future. I expressed how I was not in a happy place and that I have no idea how to change it. Nicole let me ramble on for about 30 minutes, never interrupting, but taking it all in. And from that, she was able to map and piece together the steps I needed to begin taking. When I left our meeting, I felt empowered, enlightened. Nicole's technique is powerful as she can pull out things out of you that may have been lying dormant inside. You know, and when she wrote that, I was like, wow, is that what happened? You know, and everybody has different experiences. And again, this has everything to do with when I was a child, 20 years being a stylist. And it was that listening skill that I recognized that was actually a gift and that I could monetize on it. And so I think I'm grateful for my clients' responses because they're helping me to evolve, you know, my business.
And that's where I want to go next with you, Nicole, is that evolution of your business, because the pieces of the puzzle that I'm hearing as I'm listening to you is starting to look like a picture of someone who can take what she hears, turn it into content that can benefit someone else, and then morph that content into a different format, whether it's a book, whether it's a course, whether it's a workbook, or even a podcast. But we'll talk about that in a minute. But you don't let anything just go in one direction and that's it. Am I hearing that correctly? You
very correct. It's
so
ongoing.
Tell us a little bit about that. How do you keep, again, how do you keep track of all this information that you're gathering?
Yeah.
And how do you make sure it doesn't go to waste by just going into one bucket and never getting out into different channels for other people to hear?
Exactly. So I'm going to tell you, meditation is a skill set that I've mastered. And it is so necessary because with meditation, it allows you to quiet the mind. And when you have the ability to quiet your mind, you can filter out the things that you've already done. You filtered out all the things that don't work. And you're able to open up your mind to new ideas. And so I tell you, mastering meditation is what allowed me to be able to do what I do. Because I'm telling you, if you're someone that don't have control of your thoughts and you're being gifted with ideas on a everyday basis, you could really be out of your mind. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm just amazing how the divine has given me, or I allowed for him to guide my life, for one. Two, I speak positive affirmations. If you go around my house, they're everywhere. I'm always confirming who I am, why I do what I do, acknowledging and recognize who's in control of my life. And these are the things that I'm going to accomplish and achieve, and that it will manifest to greatness. That is written everywhere in my house, in my books. I have poured it into my children. I have memorized affirmations. I actually speak them during my sleep, especially during times when I can't sleep, if I'm stressed. These are the things that I do, that I put in place in order to be able to receive all of this information that I'm receiving and to be successful at it. So meditation.
Let's go down that path for just a minute, because when you talk about clearing your mind, and a lot of people don't understand really what meditation is. They don't think about that, and they don't understand the positive of they don't understand the power of positive affirmations. Okay, so those two things together, we're deeply affected by the things that we hear. If you're told all your life that you're worthless, that you're not going to amount to anything, that there's no need for you to try hard because you're just never going to succeed, those things get etched into our brains. The same as if we have positive people in our lives telling us you're going to do great things. You could be president of the United States if you want. You could do whatever, but how often do we talk to ourselves, and what are the things that we're telling ourselves? And what you're hearing Nicole say, folks, is that she's always telling herself positive things. She's filling her brain with positivity. So talk to us about a little bit more about, you mentioned a specific type of meditation. And so I just want you to talk briefly about what got you interested in meditation, and then we're gonna talk about these 9 really cool books that you have written, and another little aspect of your business. So talk to us about that. I'm sorry.
Yes. Now, so as a single mother, I had to acquire some tools. Now, there was moments of stress, just being a parent, period. But as a single parent, after going through a very painful divorce, I have a belief in God and recognize his power. But when you're going through those moments, it's like I need something more, I'm sure there's other things outside of what I was taught and what I was given. I need more of that. So I started searching. And that's what it is. I started doing some self-reflection, Google, how do you deal with stress, and that evolved to other links to share. And I just took in and practice one that didn't work. So let me try something else. The thing is, I never gave up, and there was moments where I was depressed and I had a thing with anxiety real bad. And the society tells you to go to the doctor, and I get it. And I'm not knocking that as an option, but it wasn't one for me because I'm not real good on taking medication. And when I took that medication, I was just like a zombie. And I was like, I cannot operate and raise children feeling like this. So I sought out alternative methods. And that's where I found meditation. Hyssop tea is very powerful. It helps with anxiety. The 37th Psalm, I used to speak it out loud every time I would have an anxiety attack. And over time, I was healed. And yeah, it was tedious, it was a lot of work, but it was worth it. And then I chose that route instead of taking medication because that's for me.
So whether you're starting from a place of positivity or whether you're having to replace some of the negativity that's been carved into your brain, it's really important that people start to say positive things to themselves and about themselves, even if you do it just stand in front of the mirror and say this. I remember back in the early days of the internet. I'm sure she's grown now with kids of her own, but there was the little girl who stood on the bathroom counter and looked in the mirror and she said, "I am great. I can do anything." And that it spread like wildfire because here's this kid who's just yelling these positive affirmations at herself. And you got to think when you're having a bad day, even if your day doesn't turn out well, at least you can look back on it and say, well, I at least said some nice things to myself this morning.
Right. Exactly. And you can't wait for others to do that for you. You can't.
Jim Rohn.
You're going to be upset because you have to realize other people are going through the same thing you're going through. So you can have these expectations of having somebody else to fulfill you. You have to be whole within your own self first.
One of my favorite motivational speakers and authors was the late Jim Rohn, R-O-H-N.
Yeah.
And, Jim Rohn said, if you don't have a plan for yourself, you'll be subject to other people's plans for you. And guess what they have planned for you?
Nothing.
Not much. Exactly. So don't wait for other people to have these plans for you. Now we're getting close to the end of time here, but I wanted to talk a little bit more about you. I wanted to show your books. So let's pop those up here real quick. And let's talk about these titles that you have. Run through these really quickly for us. Tell us where people can find these.
Sure. So all of these publications can be found on my website at www.nicolelee.me. A few of them are also on Lulu platform as well as Amazon. What I found is that I came up with a new concept is I'm going to start shipping my own books. And so you'll have a personal autograph and a message in the book. And so that's a process that I'm starting as well. All of these books pretty much are different stories about my journey and how I overcome different projects that I created. And I just tell the story of each of them. Now, remind you, I was not a reader growing up. And for me to write books is just amazing to me. But when I started writing, I realized I wanted to tap into a market or a target market of people who don't read. Because these are short read books. I get straight to the point. They're simple and you'll have something to take away from it. So they range from like 50 pages all the way up to 170 pages. So Healing Cosmetologist, my first book, I share insights about the power of healing that I experienced while I was doing hair. I share insights of how to be successful from beauty school all the way through salon ownership. My business plan is in there. I've written a curriculum for beauty schools. So that's that. And I also actually tell my story about the journey of positivity. Inside is our short stories of different moments in life and how to live a blissful life. How to eradicate emotional paralysis, a guide for single mothers. That was evolved after the project with Warrior Moms. And so these are affirmations, different situations of what a single mother goes through. And then there's a remedy that goes along with that. How to write a book, how to write and publish my own book. That came from people asking me, how do you write a book? I wasn't going to give that information for free. So I said, let me write it. And you go buy it. And then I could consult you on it. And so that's happened. So that's been pretty cool.
All right. Pause just for a second. Time out, because again, a little commercial here. Yeah. If you're listening, your thoughts, your insights, your experiences, your knowledge, your training, your background, those are valuable things. And you pay to access other people's insights and knowledge and information. So why shouldn't they pay for yours? And so folks, if you think that your worth is only about the time and materials you're putting into something, you're wrong. Think about what it took to get you to this place and what the value of that is. So that's I'm off the soapbox. I'm going to quit preaching now. Go ahead.
You're right. It's that positive thinking. And this is just a manifestation of what I believe, and it happens, So so Warrior Mom. So this is a journal book that I created and I gave out at the workshop when I did the Warrior Moms project. And it's a journal of empty pages. In between the pages, there's affirmation as a reminder as a single mom and how great you are. So that's that. Wisdom of a Queen. So interesting. When I was doing my social media and promotion, again, I recognized that what I was sharing with the world, I was giving it to them for free. And I said, you know what? I need to take all those quotes and insights I was given and turn it into a book. And that's what I did. I downloaded all the content I did on Facebook and I wrote a book about it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is I monetize on everything I do because I believe that I am great. I do. I really do. Savagery. Amazing book. This was so Warrior Moms, a social enterprise, 501c3. When I receive grants, it's always different each project, and which is great because I can't do the same thing always. I need some extra newness because I get these ideas, right? So this particular project is I received a grant with a theater company, and the goal was that I would write a manuscript and then they would produce it on stage. So when COVID hit, all of that went out the window. So I had worked so hard with a team. So it was 2 single mothers and it was 2 sons that had been raised by single mothers. And so I had this expertise of gathering people and getting them to write. And I did it by ordering the audio where you could talk and it'll type. Mm-hmm. It was an amazing process. And I was able to get this manuscript written just by asking questions. And it was just an amazing process. So that's what Savagery is. Amazing title. We even, so what I did is I walked 4 people along the journey of how to write a book is what happened. And so that grant funding allowed for this book. And actually I've been pitching it to theater companies and theater companies within colleges to actually do a reading. I mean, because of COVID, we're not able to do the publication, the production. But the idea, this was a therapeutic production. So the idea was that we were going to produce it and the audience, it would become interactive.
Oh, that's cool.
So I'm still waiting, for the manifestation of that. But I said, I got to do something with it. So I put it out and it's on Amazon.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
And Amazon's a lot of people look down on Amazon. They're big, they're corporate, they're global, they're eating up everybody, but it is a great platform for authors. It's a great platform for people who have something to sell. I mean, they got a big audience. There are a lot of people walking through that store, so to speak.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't knock any. He worked hard on his business. So knock it. To me, I take notes.
Well, yeah. People forget the picture of him sitting at a card table with a computer and a dot matrix print with the word Amazon on the wall, right?
In his garage.
Yeah. So
I respect him.
Listen, we're about out of time, and I'm definitely going to have you back because I think there's some nuggets here that we need to dive deeper into.
I would love that.
So let me get out of this because I want to talk just briefly about your podcast.
Yes.
For a moment before we wrap up today, because when we talk about sharing content, we're sharing valuable information, your insights. podcasting to a lot of folks is still fairly new. I mean, this live stream that we do is a fairly new concept for a lot of folks. I'm still amazed that people will watch a guy with a face made for radio and a voice made for Braille, but it's all about you. So talk to us about how the podcast came about, what it's called, and what people can expect when they listen.
Yes. So spiritual beings having human experiences. So that title came to me way before I started the podcast. It came to me in a dream. I didn't know what it was. And so over time of all of my different experiences, you know, as you're marketing, I took some coaching from someone that was helping me, you know, puzzle together what I was developing, because it was so many components. And it was pretty much, he shared with me a path of the things that I were doing and what was going to become of it. So as an author, I had to find different ways to market myself. And I was told that you got to get your content out there. And so one way to do that is, you know, social media, YouTube, and podcasts. He said you could really, you know, grow with that and get sponsorship and things of that nature. I'm not at that place, but that is the goal. Because I guess for me, I have so many things, and now for me, it's starting to all make sense. So now I'm at that place where I'm able to move upward. So Spiritual Beings Having a Human Experience is a podcast connecting with people that get that title, you know, that we are spiritual beings. And this physical shell that we all are in is just a vehicle for us here on this earth. I believe that's with the podcast is that I connect with people. So I have guests. There's a podcast called The Number One True Hustler, a single mother. And that podcast was evolved during Warrior Mom's journey. I connect with a barber in California that shares her experience of healing from my book, Healing Cosmetologist. And I have someone who studies metaphysics that talks about dream interpretations. And it's just an amazing podcast with a little bit of different ideas and hearing from people that recognize their purpose, recognize it first. And just an amazing podcast. Since I've moved, you know, a lot of things I've been doing have been on pause, but now that my family is here and we're comfortable, and now it's time for me to get back on doing consistent podcasts and consistent content work now that I'm settled here. So I'm looking actually for a guest for my next show, but I'm excited. Spiritual beings having human experiences.
It is an interesting journey. It's an interesting medium that is picking up steam. And so, yeah, I've put your web address up here. Is this the best way for people to get in touch with you, whether they would like to look at your podcast, maybe being a guest on a podcast, and some of your publications?
Yes, everything is on my website. I have different tabs. I have YouTube channels, different shows that I've uploaded, stories about me. The link to my Warrior Moms social enterprise is on my website, on that website as well. So yes, you can have access to a little bit of everything that I do on my website.
Very cool. So everything Nicole is going to be at NicoleLee.me. So yeah, go check her out. Nicole, it's been great to have you on the show today. And again, I'm bringing you back because I've got notes here. We kind of skimmed the surface on a lot of stuff. We covered a lot of ground, but we're going to dig a little deeper on some of these other things. And especially, I think I want to have you back and talk about listening and what a useful, important skill that is and how we don't practice that enough. But I think it's really clear that a lot of your success has just come from listening, and I applaud you for that. I don't know if that's actually a course in the cosmetology departments.
You know what? I wrote a curriculum about it. I mean, that everything that you're saying and everything that I've experienced, that's what the curriculum is about. You know, they're not ready yet. You know, a lot of the things I do, a lot of people are not ready for. I feel like I'm ahead of my time, which is, but I have it all. I'm ready. So when the time comes, I'll just pull it out and be like, here you go.
There you go. There
I'm
you
ready.
go. Wait for that opportunity and then jump on it. Jump on it. Nicole, thank you so much for being on the show today. I've really enjoyed having you. Look forward to talking with you again real soon. And welcome to North Carolina. I know Ohio is sad to have lost you.
Yeah, I know they are. They should be.
And we are glad to have gotten you.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. My family and I appreciate the opportunity again, Russ. Thank you. This was fun.
Folks, that's it for us today. Thanks for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you again on the next episode of Live with Sequoyah Fund.